some news breaking in the last hour. Should we even be surprised? Really? Should we? So, it seemed as though yesterday hell had frozen over after Teofimo Lopez and his very childish outburst towards the back end of last week at Turkey on a Sheik online. And as I said in that video at the time, you may not, whatever your feelings about these negotiations, whatever your feelings about Turkey al Sheikh, you keep it private, you negotiate, you do what you gotta do, you don't take to social media, you don't call him a dictator, you don't start, coming out with all this nonsense. And Turkey al Sheikh very abruptly addressed it, talking about maturity, which is a lack of maturity from Teofimo Lopez, but we've been seeing that for years. And no sooner then does he apologise, because where else is he going to get this kind of money? Because Bob Arum's not going to put it up for him, nor will other networks. You'll have to go to Turkey to get what you actually feel as though you're worth, And you think, okay, hell is frozen over. This morning I wake up to the news that this fight seems signed and sealed, and you're thinking, okay, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, I like it. 145 pound catch weight, no title on the line, so I'm okay with a catch weight with no title on the line. And it's against two big, they're not mega stars, but they are big enough names, and you'd think, okay, it's not a bad fight. Ryan Garcia obviously lost to Rowley, so Teofimo Lopez didn't lose, nor did Devin Haney, and you look at it and you think stylistically it's an interesting fight, it's intriguing. So I'm thinking, okay, let's go ahead with this. But then in your mind you're like, these are two of the biggest divas in boxing. One of them is a bigger diva, and I think it's Teo. But you're thinking, who's going to cave first and when? Not long later, believe me, the Ring magazine are reporting that negotiations have collapsed for a proposed fight between Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez on August the 16th in Riyadh. The Ring magazine's Mike Coppinger has learned no sooner did we read that we see Devin Haney take to social media. And I tend to believe this wholeheartedly. Let me just start by reading this. This is from Devin Haney's X account. The fight with Teo is not signed. I signed my part and Teo has been stalling. Why do I believe that? As of today, he decided he doesn't want to fight me. He is officially the biggest duck, thumb down emoji. And I wanted the fight at 147. He wanted the fight at 140. We negotiated to meet at 145, even though he was willing to fight Boots at 147 pounds. Wow. Yeah. I believe Devin Haney there. I really do. Devin Haney had no reason to stall. He he wasn't the one who went online last week like an idiot and started calling out the guy who biting the hand that feeds you. There is a lack of maturity there with Teofimo Lopez. There absolutely is. Not just with the way he behaved last week with Turkey al Sheikh, but some of the other nonsense he comes out with, and some of the things he said, about ESPN and this, that, and the other. It's ridiculous with this guy. It really is. I used to love watching I still do love watching Teofimo Lopez, but god damn, he is certainly a dislikable character to say the least. Makes perfect point there. Because on that Times Square show, Teofimo Lopez beat Arnold Barboza Jr., right? Now, correct me if I'm mistaken on this, but I don't believe I am. I believe immediately after, he was mentioning Boots Ennis. There was talk from Turkey that it was going to be Boots versus Teofimo Lopez at 147 pounds. Bear in mind, Boots Ennis is a unified champion at 140 pounds. He is probably maybe not as fast as Devin Haney, but he's bigger. He is way bigger. He hits harder, much harder. He's incredibly athletic. Teofimo Lopez hasn't shown the devastating brute force at 140 pounds. He's never fought north of 140 pounds. And you're talking about a guy, as I said, in Boots Ennis, who is a naturally big, he shouldn't really be at 147 anymore, to be honest with you. He's much bigger than that. And Devin Haney, who's come up with Teofimo Lopez from 135 to 140, and now he's at 147. He's not even a big 147 pounder. You've no problem fighting the bigger of the two, and probably the harder fight of the two, at the full weight, but you don't want to fight Devin Haney at 145 pounds. Make that make sense. It doesn't. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And again, this is a guy who only in the, not even a week has passed where he's thrown his toys out of the pram over one thing. He's then gone and apologised. Then apparently then all's good, all's happy in the world, and this fight's going to get signed. And now it's not. And what other people are pointing it out, difference between saying this is the reason and actually, it being it, is that when we saw news break this morning that this fight was apparently signed and sealed, or apparently was a done deal, we were hearing that there would be very stringent VADA testing in place for this fight. Now, and then again, I'm not making any accusations whatsoever. I'm not saying, that's the reason or this, that, and the other. But with Teofimo Lopez, it's always... Me and Addy spoke about this in Addy and G-Man last week, and it's very true. Floyd Mayweather was very much the A-side throughout the course of his career. But throughout the course of his career, before he became the A-side, and he will tell you, he will admit it, he was happy to be the B-side. He even admitted he was the B-side against Arturo Gatti. He was the B-side against Oscar De La Hoya. He knew you beat those guys, you then become the A-side. These guys right now, they haven't done anything. You are essentially, with the Times Square show and with Devin, don't mean to have a go with Devin, but it is just the case. With Devin and the Times Square show, you're essentially piggybacking off of Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia was the main event. Ryan Garcia was the reason that Devin Haney fight did such good numbers. He's the guy who you could actually say probably is the A-side because he is the draw. Used to are just the kind of, well done, you're there, but you're not where he is. Whereas both guys, in particularly Teofimo Lopez, think that they are. Teofimo Lopez has been a diva from the get-go, it seems, almost, with the early days of Top Rank, and it just doesn't seem to be changing. It just seems like no matter what is happening with Teofimo Lopez, it's his way or the highway. He wants everything to be his way. He wants everything to be his favour. He wants the more money. It's incredible, really. It really is. And then you look at today's landscape of boxing, and you contrast how someone like a Teofimo Lopez behaves to someone how an Alexander Usyk behaves. Going to their back garden, no problem. I might beat it, no problem. You've got more, no problem. He just knows, right, I go in, I get the win. I get paid next time. I might be the A-side, like against Tyson Fury in the first fight, and then he was the A-side in the second fight. These guys just aren't willing to do it. I don't know what the reason is. At the end of the day, Devin Haney touches on a great point there, that you are willing to go to 147 pounds, face Boots Ennis, but you're not willing to fight him at a catch weight. That does not make sense. Something's not adding up here. And honestly, with Teofimo Lopez, again, I just don't know. I really don't know what this guy... I'm looking forward to seeing what I'm not looking... God only knows what he's going to tweet later on this evening, because we saw what he did last week, which was silly, and we all agree it was absolutely silly. And yeah, God knows what's going to come out of his mouth tonight. I mean, there's not a lot of good stuff does come out of that mouth, but yeah, it's going to be a real interesting one tonight. Let me know your thoughts. It seems this fight is broke down. What do you do for August 16th then? Because it's, we've got a decent enough June. Next month is just manic. There's so many fights I can't even list them all. And then August is a bit, what's happening? And this would have been a good card in Saudi Arabia, and it's like, okay, what's happening? So, I don't know. I really don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. As always, if you could, hit the like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Until next time, people. Peace.